So, I've been thinking a lot about the kindness of others, as is encouraged often to think about the kindness of others. And I've been particularly thinking about the kindness of those who are difficult, challenging, who I label as an enemy, or maybe just as a jerk, or whatever else, however else I think of them, those who do things that I don't really agree with and I don't like. And I started doing this. I thought just kind of I called it self centeredness, because I was just really tired of the rumination in my mind of seeing, how my mind will go around in anger and anxiety and judgment towards decisions that I see being made, towards actions that I don't like. And so I was like, oh, out of self centeredness, I need to start thinking of their kindness. But really, then thinking about that a little bit more, it's like, I think it's more renunciation that is driving this because it is challenging the self centered thought. It's pretty sure that I'm right and my way of doing things and my ideas are the best ones, that people should respond in a way that I want them to respond. And so, really, seeing the kindness of others who I consider difficult is renouncing the suffering of my own afflictions. And it also, I think, is helping me to deepen my refuge in this like non-harmfulness that the Dharma is teaching us how to really embody. Because the harm that I do to myself and others is going to start with my thoughts and my judgments and my perceptions of others. And so, if I can see others through more of this view of kindness, then, even if I disagree with what they're doing, my speech and my actions are still going to hopefully be driven by this attitude of not harming and really developing this deeper confidence in valuing non harm instead of caving into the afflictions and acting through my anger and attachment. And seeing the kindness of others who I might ordinarily label as an enemy or difficult, I think also helps increase resilience and kind of gives more like purpose to, challenging situations. It's not just this hard thing that I have no power or control over, and so I just give up, but really using it as an opportunity to develop my mind, to learn from the situation, to see things from a different perspective, I think can develop resilience so that when things, maybe they get worse, maybe they continue, and people, you know, constantly do things I disagree with. I mean, I don't think it's going to change. I think there's always going to be people who do things I disagree with. And so if I can develop some resilience by shifting my mind and getting this bigger perspective of really seeing their kindness, then I think I'll be able to navigate difficulties, staying a little bit more balanced and working for the benefit of all instead of just, please give me what I want whenever I want it. And Shantideva has some verses about this. There's actually many more, but I'll just share a couple. Chapter 5, the guarding introspection, he says that when beholding someone with my eyes, thinking I shall fully awaken through depending upon this being, I should look upon them with an open heart and love. And so, our bodhicitta and this aspiration to really be of benefit to all beings means that we need to have compassion and love for all beings. And then seeing that we develop the qualities that we need to become a Buddha. We practice the 6 perfections, we get to look at dependent arising and emptiness. Everything that we do on this path is in relationship and independence on others. So it's really independence on those, including who are difficult, that we are going to cultivate the path in our own hearts. So why not try to look at them with an open heart and love? That's a challenge. And Shantideva continues in chapter 6 on fortitude. Hence, just like a treasure received effortlessly in one's house, one should like one's enemies, since they become a condition for enlightenment. So, as if we, walked into the Abbey and I don't know what would be a treasure here. Lunch is made, the dishes are done, the brooms in the bathroom are just like on automatic, like in, the movies. Fantasia, yes, thank you. Um, Whatever, you ask for help and everyone's like, yes, of course. We're all emanating our hands and giving each other hands, just as if we had this incredible treasure here. We should like one's enemies, since they become a condition for enlightenment. Because it's really easy to cultivate compassion, maybe actually not easy, to cultivate compassion and love and fortitude towards those that are agreeable to us, but it's easier. It's easy to be nice, to want to work together when people act in a way that I want them to act and we are getting along. But really, there's this precious opportunity when things aren't going our way to cultivate fortitude, to really, generate compassion. An example, I think the first time I really tried to put this into practice was when I was living in Colorado still, and I was very involved with our community radio station. And there was a couple of people on the board of directors who had really different ideas about the leadership of the station. And, they got together, other board members, and fired the manager, who was my friend. They fired my friend. Those awful people, those jerks. And I really felt that way. I had a lot of negative emotions towards them. And thankfully, for my Buddhist practice, I could see, like, well, if I can actually cultivate compassion towards these guys, this is actually helping me. This is moving me in the right direction. And then also, in kind of looking at their kindness and appreciating their kindness, like here we are, all part of the same small community where, many people know each other, have many intersecting circles and same projects. And I just remember I was walking by this small museum. I think it's a museum. It was like the original jail. This like wooden building that got turned into a museum, and there was like bricks outside, and it had the names of some of the donors that helped like preserve this old building. And it was very easy to see like both of these people's names, on this project, and it was very easy to see their involvement with many community activities. And so, it was very supportive to help me open my mind, that we're not just the behaviors that I don't like. People aren't, their worst behaviors aren't, they're not defined that way. Actually, we're so much bigger than that. And recently, I had this wonderful example where someone I don't actually normally put into the enemy category, but I was helping them out with something that they were open to my help with. And essentially, how I perceive it is that they were ignoring me. They weren't kind of reciprocating and participating in any sort of way. And so I was getting frustrated and had the thought of like, well, maybe I should just walk away from this, let them figure it out, da da da. And then I saw Katsitigarbha, Bodhisattva, outside, and gave my normal acknowledgement to him, and just this recollection that he is helping beings in the lower realms to get out of the lower realms, and the incredible fortitude that must take, and seeing the kindness actually of this person, of like, how conditional is my help? Do I only help people when they act in the way that I want them to like reciprocate? That was really helpful. Like, how kind. I couldn't see that quite so clearly before. And so really, this striking example of the kindness of others in when I'm perceiving situations as challenging. They can help us see our blind spots. And looking at, then political leaders, this is kind of where I started with thinking, really wanting to shift my perspective, that thinking about the kindness of others isn't like kind of whitewashing, isn't like agreeing at all with like decisions that I think are harmful and really, you know, poor decisions, not for the benefit of many people at all. So it's not whitewashing those actions, but really like expanding my perspective to see that there's more going on than just my kind of narrow focus on what's going wrong. Um, that here we are in samsara, where things are going to go wrong pretty continuously. And, if I, there's areas where we can get involved and speak up and really, disagree in a civil and peaceful way with what's going on. But then to also shift that to seeing their kindness um, has also been helpful. I've been, really specifically looking at people like ICE officers and folks who are, kind of, I mean, I've heard stories about people getting ripped out of their cars, being tackled on their front lawn, like horrible, horrible stories. And thinking like, how could a person do this? How could somebody spend their days, like hunting down others for really, some because they don't have the right piece of paper. Um, and then thinking about, actually, then the kindness is that it's helped me see like their humanity because there's obviously some causes and conditions that have led up to this. That maybe they were in an environment when they were young or growing up that fostered some sort of, perspectives that they think they're doing the right thing. Um, Perhaps they wouldn't have done this, maybe 5 years ago, but have been in a work environment that's just kind of changed. And, the people that we're around, we share views and we affect each other. Maybe they just need to pay the bills, and this is a way that they do that. But thinking more about it, it's like, wow, they just really want to be happy, I think. Like it's what they're trying to do, just like me. And they're overwhelmed with afflictions, just like I am. And they're creating a lot of suffering. And sadly, that's the opposite of what they're trying to create. And so there can be some like compassion that arises. And yeah, so like I said, it's not to say that what they're doing is right or any less wrong, but that I can see them also as like human beings who are trying their best and are just really confused, just like me. And so the Buddha is so wise in encouraging us to take people who are challenging as our great teachers. That there are a lot to learn, there's a lot to learn in difficult situations, and trying to think about what is the kindness here. For me, has been a really nice way to shift out of my grumbling, complaining, afflicted mind. And I see the importance of familiarizing my mind with this now so that, as samsara continues and I am, here for a while likely, that my mind is more oriented towards this, like looking at others through this view of kindness instead of just seeing them as horrible. Because this is going to keep pushing back against my own self centered thought and keep pushing back against my ignorance, my anger, my attachment, because these are really the real enemies. These are the things that we need to decrease and or eventually eliminate completely. And so, yeah, the kindness of others is an incredible tool to help us do that.